Sawadee Kap, Sabaidi Mai Kap, and welcome to Chiang Mai, Thailand. Hey, this video is for two categories of people. Number one, you're in your home country right now, whether it's the United States or Canada, the UK, Australia, and you want to live overseas like I do, maybe for the rest of your life or just for a few years. But you want a job before you go because you know in that other country, quite often you can't find work, either because you don't speak the language or they don't allow foreigners to get jobs there, or maybe you just don't really have a skill set that they need in that particular area. And group number two is people that are already living overseas, whether it be Thailand like me, whatever it might be, and you need more income. Maybe your pension's not quite enough. Now you might be thinking, well, that sounds great, but I don't really have a skill set. And I'm a senior. This video is actually for people like you. You don't need a technical skill set, and you can be a senior. I'll prove it to you in a little bit. So first, let me introduce you to the term digital nomad. I had never heard that term 8 years ago when I first went to Thailand to visit my daughter who moved there before me. And I learned, you probably already know this, but 8 years ago I didn't know it. A digital nomad is basically someone that makes their living on their computer. And it's basically have laptop will travel. I mean, you can be anywhere in the world, go from country to country and make your living on your laptop. All you need is an internet connection, basically. And through your laptop, I mean, that's basically your phone as well as being a computer. So this video is not just going to be about theory. We're going to talk about the actual nuts and bolts of getting a job where you can work anywhere in the world on your computer, regardless of what country you're from. We're going to talk about specific jobs that you can get that do not require a particular skill set. We're going to talk about companies that hire internationally, that let you work anywhere in the world. And we're going to give you specific websites, the actual links that you can go to. So I really hope this is going to be helpful. Stick around and let me share it with you. So I'm going to make this as organized as I can for you. So there are several different routes that you can follow to get a remote work from home job that you can do internationally. I'm going to spell them all out. And as I do that, at times I might give you information, company names, websites. I'll put it on the screen briefly. If you want to take the information down, just pause the screen. And everything I put on screen is going to be in the description where it's actually easier to click the links directly. All right, let's get started. So number one, you have a job right now that you can convert to a remote job. I'm actually an example of that. I actually have 3 remote jobs that I can do from anywhere in the world. And the one that's pertinent to this category is I'm an attorney. And for my entire career, I had the standard brick and mortar office, the secretary in the waiting room, you know, the suite, all that kind of stuff. And when I wanted to move to Thailand, I realized I needed to change everything. I gave all that up and I converted to a completely digital law practice. And a lot of professions can do this. I mean, would you think a lawyer could run his California law office from Thailand? Well, I can very easily. COVID changed everything. It helped us all realize that we don't need to be in a traditional office to do our job. So for me, I started doing all my consultations by Zoom. I gave up my office and just had a digital office suite where I pay $100 a month for someone to answer my phone and have a business address that people can write to. I do all my documentation by email. All my clients sign their documents by DocuSign, and I can even make my court appearances by video. So every profession is different, but if I told you I could run a law practice in California from Thailand, I mean, would you have believed me? So a lot of professions can do that. Now, I had the advantage of being self-employed, but even if you have just a traditional job and you work for someone else, this still might be an applicable category for you. Let's say that you work for a big company like, I'm going to say Capital One, the big credit card company. A lot of their customer service representatives and data entry clerks are remote. They don't go to an office. They work from home. And I know this. I'll tell you kind of a funny story. It was actually the impetus for this video some time ago. I was calling Capital One, that's my credit card company. And when I'm talking to the guy on the phone, the customer service rep who's helping me out, I kept hearing this rooster in the background. And I finally said, "Man, you must be working from home." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Most of us work from home." And that was actually kind of the trigger for this particular video. So if you have a job for someone else, even if it's a traditional in the office kind of a job, you might talk to your employer and see, is this a job that I can do remotely? Or if I can't do my specific job, is there another job within the company? It might be a little bit of a demotion for you, but is there another job you can do where you're already employed, where you can do it remotely? Maybe you've got to take a pay cut. But even if you do, if you can start off with a job when you leave, and you've got the excitement and the adventure of living in a foreign country and the low cost of living in that country, but you've got a Western salary, it might be ideal for you. Now, let's talk about number two. You don't have a job right now, or you're retired, so you're looking for a job. Now, there's a lot of large websites, I'm going to use Indeed as an example, that include in their job listing specifically remote jobs, or sometimes they'll call it a work from home job. So you can use that as part of your search categories to find jobs of that type. I'll list several of those companies here, and you can find the full spectrum of jobs at these places. But one thing to be aware of is that a lot of these companies, like, again, I'm going to use Indeed as an example, have different websites based upon the country that you're in. For example, there's one for America is Indeed.com, but it's different for Canadians. It's different for Australians. So that's something you might want to check individually on your own to find out which is the one for you. Our second subcategory here are job posting entities that limit themselves only to remote work. And these are ideal because usually they'll divide for you remote work from within your country, or they'll specify work from home or remote jobs. Those terms are kind of interchangeable, from anywhere in the world. So those are ideal. Now, whichever of these two subcategories you're looking in, traditional job posting listings or remote only, almost all of these are free to you. It's the employer that pays any fee that's required. There's a couple good companies, though, especially in the remote job sector, that do charge you a fee, but it's quite small. For example, flexjobs.com is quite good, and they charge you $2.95 for 14 days on their service, a little bit more if you do it longer. The same is true with remote.co, which also charges the same fee. Now, all the things that we're talking about so far, you could be doing this from your home country, or you could be doing it from, anywhere in the world if you've already left your home country. But there is a bit of an advantage to still being in your home country, because some of these employers might require an initial face-to-face interview, or they might have some kind of requirement like a drug test, which you really have to be local for. But I'd say for the most part, most of these jobs you can apply for from anywhere in the world, especially those job listing postings that are advertising 100% remote jobs. They know a lot of those people already are in a different geographical area, perhaps a different country. Now, before I get to category number 3, I want to talk about two concerns that you guys might be having about now. One is you might be thinking, Randy, I can't get one of these remote jobs. This all sounds too techy. I just don't have those kind of computer skills. Good news is, honestly, you don't need to worry. It's true. A lot of the jobs that are available, and in fact, the highest paying ones, are going to be people with tech skills, people that know how to build and repair a website, people that know how to do search engine optimization and online marketing. So let's just say those aren't your areas. Well, the good news is there's several jobs that you can get, we'll call them entry-level positions, that you can get with basically no skills and no experience. The first one is customer service. Every company out there basically has a customer service department, someone that can take incoming calls, answer questions, whatever it might be. And all you really need for that is a good speaking voice. The second one is data entry. And this is basically just taking information from one informational source and moving it to another. And a lot of times these companies, they've got old records, or maybe it's incoming orders that they need moved to another type of database. And AI maybe can't do that. I mean, they need actual manual entry where you're typing the information. So the only skill that you need there is really the ability to type. And one nice thing about data entry jobs is that you can do those jobs whenever you want. One disadvantage to a lot of work, like let's say customer service representative, is you need to work the hours when they want you to work. Well, that can be a problem if, let's say, you live in Thailand like me, and the company that hires you is in California. Well, depending on the time of year, there's a 14 to 15-hour time difference. So 9 in the morning for them is what, 11 o'clock at night for you. So unless you're like a real night owl, those hours don't work. Now, a lot of companies need 24-hour customer service, so no problem. But the nice thing about data entry is instead of working on the clock where you're being paid by the hour, you're paying by the unit or the job, where for every batch of entry, data that you entry, or every form that you transcribe, that is what you're being paid for. So you can work for 2 hours in the morning, go to lunch, come back, work another hour, go play tennis, come back, work another hour. It's one advantage to that kind of work. The third kind of entry-level job is sales. And if you're like me, you probably roll your eyes and say, oh my gosh, the last thing I want to do is a sales job. But a lot of times these aren't sales job in kind of the sense that we think of them. It's not like a cold call sales. It's more like the company that's hired you is having people contact them, or companies contact them, that's interested in the service or the product that they sell. And they just need people to explain that product or service. So those are 3 entry-level jobs. There's a lot more, but those are some that you could check out that really don't require a skill set. Now, I'd still recommend that you develop some skills. You should really know Microsoft Word, Microsoft Outlook. Those are some really basic things that are helpful to know and will open up more job opportunities for you. And if you don't know them, it's really pretty easy to learn. You can just watch YouTube videos on how to do those things. And with a little bit of practice, you'll be pretty good at them, at least good enough for an entry-level job. Another thing that you might want to consider is getting a certificate. Now, for a lot of these jobs, you don't need any kind of advanced training, but if you have experience or training, it's always going to be an advantage, right? Well, there's 2 places you can get a certificate that basically affirms that you have a certain skill. One is called a Google certificate, and the other one is through Coursera. Now, these aren't free. You do have to pay for them, and I think they're typically going to cost you about $300 for a lot of entry-level positions, like let's say data entry clerk. They basically train you how to do things. You actually do learn. You get helpful knowledge. But you get an official certificate at the end that you can show to an employer in lieu of perhaps having actual job experience. So I'm not going to say this is going to guarantee you getting a job, and you may not even want to rush out and spend $300. But if you talk to some employers and you find out this might be necessary or helpful for you, it's something you might want to consider, and I'll put the links in the description how you can find these courses. The other concern you might be having is your age. You might be thinking, my gosh, I'm in my 60s, I'm in my 70s. Let's be real, nobody's going to want to hire me. I can debunk that fear in no time. And I'm going to use American companies as an example because I'm an American, so I'm most familiar with them. But there are a lot of major U.S. corporations, and I'm sure it's true around the world as well, that actively recruit senior citizens. I mean, they're actually a very valuable part of the job force. For example, Walmart. If you've ever been to a Walmart, you've seen quite a few seniors working there. McDonald's is another example. Home Depot, Ace Hardware, Costco. I mean, these are just off the top of my head. And I know these are brick and mortar type stores, but the same is true with hiring people remotely. And, a lot of these companies, they recognize that older employees, they've got more life experience and they're more reliable than hiring someone that's 19 or 20 years old. So don't think that you can't get a job because you're too old, because you can. And when I told this to my Thai wife, she was so excited for all of you that she started dancing. Hey, what can I say? You got to have a little fun in life, right? All right, let's move on to category number 3, which is don't work for a company at all, but be self-employed. And I'm talking about being self-employed where you're on a digital platform where they're finding work for you. And all you're doing is listing whatever service you have to offer. They find the people, they make sure they generate payment, you just do the job. So here's a few companies that offer that. So I'm going to go with Fiverr just as an example because they're one of the bigger ones and I've used them personally. I've probably hired 15 to 20 people over the last 5 to 10 years to do different kind of services for me. I've hired people to do book typesetting, to do some photo editing that was like too complicated for me to figure out, like this thumbnail right here for my YouTube channel that was a little too advanced for me. So I'm going to put a page up on the screen, which is from Fiverr, which lists all the different job offerings that you can list. And a lot of them are tech kind of things, but a lot of them aren't. It's not just designing websites and things like that. It's also things like creating logos, doing voiceover work, music composition. I mean, you can find about every kind of service and skill there that you need. I'll leave a link in the description so you can find these on Fiverr and check it out for yourself. And it's basically the same services with all these different companies. So the ideal thing with a job like this is you can work whenever you want and you're still working for yourself, but you've got an entity that's basically marketing your services for you where you can be found. You're basically competing with other people offering the same services, but there's a lot of work to go around. And of course, you decide whatever it's appropriate to charge. And, you know, this job is perfect for you because you can work whenever you want. You set your own hours. So all these websites that offer this service, like Fiverr and Upwork, they do charge a fee to you. So they take a percentage of what you are earning. Depending upon the company, they charge between 10 and 20%. Now, kind of related to that is teaching English and mentoring. Let's talk about the English teaching first. That's actually a job that you can quite often do in person in a foreign country where it doesn't have to be digital, but you can teach it digitally. And you can sign up for various services rather than being an employee. It's kind of like working for Fiverr or Upwork where you're basically a freelancer and you're presenting a little bio so people can see it. You're offering your services at a price that you set. And you offer teaching, private tutoring online, whether it be English or maybe you know another language. So there's quite a few companies that offer that service, and I'll list them here for you. Similar to that is mentoring, where you have an expertise in almost anything. I don't care whether it's something technical, like you're an engineer or you're a photographer, or maybe it's scrapbooking. But there's always people looking for training and experience in a certain field. So you can basically offer your services as a mentor and offer that to people out there in the community. Hey, by the way, if you like me just a little bit and you like my content, I hope you'll take a second to click the like button. That does help my videos. And if you want to learn more about international living, and specifically Thailand, then click the subscribe button and also the notification bell so you'll be notified when I put out a new video. Love to have you as one of my subscribers. Remember I told you at the beginning, I've got 3 digital nomad jobs. I told you I'd get back to it. So if I've got 3, you can get 1. So I already talked about the first one, being a lawyer and doing my job digitally. So if you're in a certain profession, you might find that you can do that too. The second one I have is writing. I write books and I sell them on Amazon and various digital platforms like that, both print books and ebooks. And I get residuals for that. And I haven't written a book in maybe, I think my last book was like 8-10 years ago, but I still make a couple $100s a month. So that's another job you can do from home and be paid for it. The last one is kind of obvious. I'm a YouTuber. And YouTube doesn't pay as much as people think it does. I could probably double or triple my income, but I don't do sponsored videos where they run a commercial in the middle. I don't push products and have affiliate links. I honestly just do this because I find it fun and I like to share information. But even just doing it at the least profitable way, I still make several $100s a month just doing that. So I'm not necessarily saying go out and be a YouTuber. I've got enough competition. But it just opens your eyes to the many type of things that you can do to generate money remotely. So let me get to a couple cautions right now, specifically about jobs themselves. There's going to be some scam listings out there. And so you have to be careful. Now, if you're finding these listings through a major entity, someone like, Indeed.com, it's pretty likely that they've been screened. So you may not have to worry. But still, wherever you're learning about this possible employer, check them out online. I mean, go to their website, Google the name of their business, check reviews and things like that. It's pretty easy to spot a scam company because everybody has an online presence if they're legitimate. And if they don't, that really tells you something. Or if they have a presence, but it's a little bit questionable. The other one to be cautious about is if they ask you for any money, you should not be paying an employer to start a job. So don't let anyone talk you into that. And also watch out if they're trying to get improper information from you. It's one thing to get information to be able to make, direct pay deposits into your bank account. But to get too much information and too soon is a danger sign. And lastly, let me talk about things to be concerned about, just the idea of working internationally. Two main things that you want to be thinking about. One is taxes. Some foreign countries will tax you on your income, even if you are generating that income from another country, and others won't. For example, here in Thailand, our foreign income is taxed if we bring that money into Thailand. But it's not taxed if we paid tax in our home country. So most of us have to pay income tax on our income, even if we're living out of the country. That's true for me as an American. So I end up not paying any tax in Thailand, but it's something that you want to look at for the country that you're going to be in based upon where you're getting your income from, what country, and where you are when you receive that income and bring it into the country. The other thing to think about is health insurance. Your job might give you health insurance, but the question you'll want to ask is, can I use that health insurance internationally? On that subject, at least for Americans that are on Medicare watching this, people always tell you you can't use Medicare internationally. That's actually completely false. So check out this video and it'll talk about how you actually can use Medicare when you're out of the country. If you do get insurance from your job and you can't use it internationally, or maybe they just don't offer health insurance, at least for me, I wouldn't decline the job for that reason, because you can still purchase health insurance when you're out of the country separately. All right, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I gave you some good content. Remember, all the companies, all the websites, all the stuff that I talked about, I took the time to put actual links in the description below. So it makes things really easy for you, so you can just click on it and go right there. So again, nice to have met you. Nice to talk to you. I hope you come again. Until I see you guys again, safe travels.